Conspiracy theories, eh? Wait till you get a load of this. Hello, and welcome to Correct Sisters Conspiracies. We're a podcast that covers conspiracy theories, mysteries, and all over spooky shit. My name is Cassandra.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are said sisters.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. Let me move Alex's overalls out of the corner of the room.
Oh, why are his overalls on the floor of your office?
Because he's a toddler and he just undresses wherever he sees fit.
That makes sense.
You sound congested.
Yes. Evan and I have been down and out for the last couple of days with varying colds between us. Spent the weekend rotting on the couch, but our child, of course, is unscathed. So she went out with our parents to go pick the Christmas tree because they have a live, real Christmas tree for Christmas.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they wanted a real tree for the last Christmas in the house.
They act like they're dying.
I know. For the record, our parents are not dying. They are just moving out of the state.
Yes, that's the point. So, that's it fun, I guess.
Yeah, but they took her running errands and put her to work decorating it. So she was out of my hair for the time being.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but now I have to take her ice skating this coming weekend. So I have to feel better for that.
You're going to go to Isoplex?
Yeah. Yeah, she's never been ice skating before. She's
I would like a video.
Yes, I will take one. Evan and I are also both terrified that we will injure ourselves.
Say, are you also getting on the ice?
Yeah, I feel like we kind of have to, but I'm scared. I am scared. After I took a spill on that fucking hoverboard, I did something to my lower back and it has been fucked for days.
When was the last time you went ice skating?
Sorry, that was the loading bar that we need to because I was thinking way back. I probably don't think I've been ice skating since middle school.
Oh my gosh. 500 years.
Yeah. I know that I wanted to go and I floated it to Evan over the years, but we've never been ice skating before.
That is not surprising at all.
I know. You know what? We're getting around all that stuff now.
There you go. Okay.
When's the last time you went ice skating?
Probably in high school with Bree and Marissa, I think.
Okay, so it's not like it was...
It's not like it was yesterday. It was
certainly
at least
that recent. Okay.
12 years ago or something like that, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't feel as bad, but yeah. So that's what I have to do.
Okay.
And then we'll be seeing you for Christmas in a few short weeks here.
Mm-hmm.
Very briefly. It sounds like.
Yeah, because everyone's just fucking working. I convinced Danny to take off that Monday.
Oh, good.
So I'm like, you have to entertain me because no one else is available. So he's going to do something with me that day. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to driving two separate cars because it's 2 tanks of gas or 4 tanks of gas if you go each way.
Yeah.
It's like I like him to drive and I just do nothing for 6.5 hours. But now I have to pay attention with 2 dogs.
Correct.
I'm not excited for.
All of the beasts will be traveling with you guys. Because, yeah, what else are you going to do with them?
We'll leave them here, I guess.
But yeah, so okay. You don't know what my topic is because
I don't, because you didn't know what your topic is.
No, I did not at the end of the episode. And so I was kind of somewhat inspired by recent events that have happened in the world. And I had a thought about it this weekend. Mm-hmm. But I know that you do not really keep up with news. And that is...
What events are we talking about?
Yeah, rightfully so. The world is just falling apart. Everything is breaking down. But recently, there was a CEO for United Healthcare that was murdered in the street in the morning in New York City.
I have heard of that.
Okay. As a quick recap, his name was Brian Thompson. He was the CEO of United Healthcare, and he was leaving a Marriott hotel in New York just before 7 a.m. on December 4th. He was walking down the street and on his way to a shareholder meeting for United when he was shot from behind by a then unknown assailant. And since then, there have been efforts to locate the shooter. When I had written my notes, they had not identified someone. They currently have a suspect in custody. But the internet has been having a field day with the news, during a time when our country has been so divided due to recent political events. The murder of a CEO is seemingly uniting everyone in their hatred of healthcare companies,
the
broken system, but United Healthcare specifically is notoriously known for denying claims for life-saving procedures and medications. And like so many people have not been given the care that they're paying for, and people are dying because of it. So there's a lot of sourness with regard to not only someone in a higher position in life and in a company, but with a healthcare company specifically.
Yeah.
The internet reaction, oh my God, it's hilarious because it's like, oh, he's dead, thoughts and deductibles. Like, sorry, I don't have enough to meet the copay to care about this kind of thing.
Oh, no, I have not picked up on any of that. I only saw one brief video. And it was someone like, oh, I think it's really telling. It's not funny, but it was true. It's like, I think it's really telling when we find out that a CEO of a medical facility company, whatever, has been murdered. And everyone goes, oh, it must have been a patient or a loved one of a patient. And it's like, that's kind of a fucked up way to, have a sense of what healthcare is in your country. But that's what it is.
But what this event is really highlighting is a seemingly more massive shift towards class consciousness. And what that is, it's like the working class, so like the 99% of the people in the country is having a moment of clarity with regard to those top 1%ers, the billionaires, the CEOs that are making millions of dollars a year at the cost of like people's lives because of it. Yeah. And so it's like the people finally have something to be united against. And it's fascinating to me. But anyway, this was what inspired my topic, but that is not my topic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's been a very lengthy lead up to what my actual topic is.
I thought you just went right into it.
No, but it sparked the thought because the whole class consciousness and the difference between the two made me think of some other things. But today we are going to be talking about the 1920 bombing of Wall Street.
I heard it. I've heard of Wall Street. I have not heard of this event.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a big event in history, actually, very notorious. And
you don't mean a physical bombing, do you?
I do.
Oh, I thought you meant like the stock market crash?
No, that happened 9 years after this.
Oh, okay. So yeah, then I don't know what you're talking about.
But there are flavors of social unrest. What?
Don't use that word, flavors. Like that. Sorry.
My brain is running at about 65% horsepower right now. I am not
trying to control my face.
There you go. But anywho, there's a lot of references and themes about the social unrest and the discourse between the classes. So that's what it was. So let's get into it. 1920s America was a time of change, also known as the Roaring Twenties. A lot happened in a very short amount of time leading up to the great stock market crash in 1929 and the start of the Great Depression, but we're not talking about that today.
We're depressed enough.
But in the early 20s, there was a lot of change happening in the country, both politically and economically. The country was just adjusting to life after a war. So this is right after World War II. World War II.
No,
that's not right.
World War I.
World War I.
I don't know a lot about history, but I know when World War II was.
I added an extra I when I was taking my notes. I'm like, no, we're about a decade or so. 2 decades long. But anywho, the war was over. People were adjusting to a new economic cycle. They were in super growth mode. The middle class was a thing and it was doing really, really well. Women got the right to vote. I know, right? Radio broadcasts in the home were becoming a thing. There was so much happening at the start of this decade.
Yeah.
This was also around the time of Prohibition. So speakeasies were a big thing. Speaking of speakeasies, didn't we end up at one in Vegas?
Yes.
We did, didn't we?
I thought it was at the club.
Was it a club or was
Didn't we go through like a dorm and it was like a different fucking location?
That's kind of what I remember.
I briefly, we like opened a curtain that was supposed to just divide the room, and I think behind it was like all these people, and they all just looked at us and were like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we actually went in or not. I
don't remember
fuzzy memories of
either.
that night.
Yeah, that part was a bit fuzzy, but when I had seen the word speakeasy, it sparked that thought. I'm like, yeah.
It does sound vaguely familiar, yes.
Anywho, but yeah, so Wall Street was killing it. Stock market was on an absolute tear. It was growing at an unprecedented rate with people speculating and investing on just about anything that they can think of, which is not totally unlike some of the circumstances surrounding our current time in history, which that also makes me think of another topic that I will probably talk about at another time, but how the cyclical events of history, how, you know, it's a circle,
they always like come back and repeat.
Yes, because we're at a point where we're approaching like a new notable point in history, so it's interesting. But anyway, different topic for another time. Anyway, so not everyone was super happy with the state of things, though, because even though a lot of people were doing really well, not everyone was. And so there was a divide that was growing, which again is very similar to kind of how the state of the country is now. On Thursday, September 16th, 1920 at 12:01 p.m., a horse-drawn cart filled with...
I forgot it was the 20s.
It is weird, though. A horse-drawn cart filled with 100 pounds of dynamite and 500 pounds of heavy cast iron sash weights. And sash weights are like big, heavy metal blocks. Though in my mind, I'm just thinking like it's stuffed with frying pans. Like that's... It helps me to visualize it more.
Yeah.
With actual cast iron skillets. But the horse-drawn cart filled with all of these explosives and potential shrapnel was detonated at the financial district's business corner of Wall Street and Broad Street, which was right across from the JP Morgan headquarters. And this is known as like the corner of Wall Street to be at.
Yeah.
And at 12:01, it was at lunchtime. So there were tons of people around outside.
Oh, okay. So
and because
time
of that,
to get the most casualties.
Correct. Yeah. The explosion was huge. It killed 38 people immediately and injured over 400 others. Many of the people that were injured were stockbrokers, bankers, businessmen, but it also hit secretaries and the people running errands, the interns and shit. And there was also pedestrians, parents, and there were children in the vicinity. Like lots of people got taken out. A piece of debris even took out a 24-year-old clerk while he was at his desk. And like the poor guy was probably getting ready to clock out to go to lunch and just didn't move fast enough. And he died. So take your breaks. Take your breaks. Okay. You're not being paid to potentially die at your desk.
Oh my gosh.
Just putting that out there. But yeah, his head was like crushed by like a cast iron, piece. He got hit in the head with a frying pan. It is worth noting that those killed and injured were not the higher up executives, though.
It never is.
And that's probably because everyone that was milling about was like running out to get lunch for everyone who's in their C-suite offices. So yeah, there was no one noteworthy actually really paid for this.
Okay.
Fun fact, a stockbroker that was present that day of the bombing and who was knocked off his feet and landed on his ass because of it was one Joseph P. Kennedy, who was the father of the future president, John F. Kennedy.
Oh, because we can't show.
Yeah, like we can't get through, a certain amount of episodes without mentioning the fucking Kennedy.
I was just thinking the other day, gosh, it's been a long time since I mentioned the Kennedys.
But they have been in so many. Like,
I know.
Because
for a while it was because they have a lot of noteworthy stories. But yeah, for a while it was a lot.
I mean, there are still plenty of threads that I'm sure we could pull and more stories to like go over there. But this is not a Kennedy conspiracy theory podcast exclusively.
Yeah, it's a subreddit of it.
Yes. But it was absolute chaos on Wall Street in the area. And many didn't know if it was a terrorist attack, if it was a bank robbery that had gone wrong, or some other catastrophe taking place. The bomb caused more than $2 million in property damage, which is the equivalent to about $30 million in today's dollars. Okay. So it was not small. And the JP Morgan building is the building that took the biggest hit out of everything. So both the interior and exterior of the building were damaged in the blast. And even today, so more than 100 years later, the same building still stands, and it has all of the marrings from the bombing on the outside.
Oh, interesting.
Which is interesting. The FBI, which was not yet known as the FBI at this time, it was the BOI, just the Bureau of Investigation.
Okay.
So they, in the New York Police Department, immediately came in to start the investigation, and they were completely thrown as to why it happened. They couldn't discern any certain motive right off the bat. And the fact that there were so many innocent people that were killed, and it didn't seem to have like a specific target in mind. It just went at the corner here. They couldn't really determine a why behind the act, so they didn't really have much to go off of. And like they tried investigating, okay, well, maybe the driver of the horse-drawn carriage, if we can figure out who that was, but that didn't go anywhere. They even traced it back to the blacksmith who had done the horse's shoes recently, but the horse fucking got exploded too.
Hey, was the horse killed? Oh no. The horse got exploded. Is that what you just said?
Again, 65% up here.
Oh, poor
the horse turned into pink mist.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
But yeah, so they had nothing. But they did end up ruling out the possibility of it just being a weird accident, like something happened. Like it was very clearly intentional and planned. They just didn't know who did it or why.
Okay.
Also worth noting that the very next day, right after the explosion, the New York Stock Exchange resumed business as usual. They had cleaning crews come in to from the city overnight to clean up the carnage and the rubble, while at the same time destroying evidence in the investigation.
Oh my gosh.
Which may have potentially led them to solving this crime.
Yeah.
But no, time and time again, it seems people just... It took
I don't fucking think.
It took so many years in history for people to get to a point where they're like learning how to actually process crime scenes, it seems.
I know, but then people still don't follow it. Like even the general public has a rough idea of what to do and not what to do, and then they just forget it, or they don't care, or they think it doesn't apply to them, and then they still fucking ruin it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to 100% lock something down. I know. There's always that human element involved.
Yeah.
But anyway, that all happened. But Wall Street's like, no, exchange has got to be open. People got to make that money because that's all people care about. And so that didn't really sit well with a lot of people because hundreds of people were just injured. Many were killed and like, oh, bummer. Sorry. Let me step over your dead body to get to my office.
Yeah, clean this up real quick. I gotta go to work and make money. Yeah.
The next day, or at the same time, thousands of people ended up descending upon the explosion site at the corner and attended a rally in defiance in the intersection because they're like, what the fuck? Essentially the same reason I reacted that way. Like, good God. Without having any clear motivation or suspects in mind, the theories then started to develop to help bridge that gap. A common possible theory suggested that it was a radical response to extreme inequality between the wealthy elites, so that 1%, and the working class, which represents everyone else in America. And that is really what echoes the recent event with the CEO getting, unalived. But yeah, on September 17th, when postal workers found a stack of flyers that had been dropped in the financial district, so the day after, said, remember, we will not tolerate any longer. Free the political prisoners, or it will sure be death for all of you. American anarchist fighters. So the letters bore a striking resemblance to those circulating after an earlier terror campaign from June in 1919, when bombs had gone off in several U.S. cities. But unfortunately for the authorities investigating the case, the mysterious flyers were the closest anyone ever came to claiming responsibility for the attack.
Okay.
And ultimately, the police started pointing fingers at other groups as possibilities, without really coming to any definitive conclusion. The Italian anarchist movement was believed to have been the most likely group behind the attack. And anarchists were angry at the power structure that kept the wealthy in control, and the bomb could have been seen as an act of rebellion against capitalist America, for the little people. Prominent figures like Luigi Galliani. I don't know if I said that right. I'm sorry. You're probably dead. An Italian anarchist.
Dead.
He had been pushing for violent action against American institutions, and the bomb was similar to others that he had used in anarchist attacks during the early 20th century, though no direct link was ever established between the two of them. So it wasn't like he definitively did it.
Yeah.
Some others theorized it could have been the work of Russian revolutionaries or even mafia-related groups, given the proximity to organized crime in New York City at the time with the Prohibition era and all of that. And others believe that the attack was an act of political extremists targeting Wall Street specifically as a symbol of America's corrupt capitalist system, which makes sense in hindsight.
It does.
The Bureau of Investigations looked into the case for over 3 years without any success. And at the end of the day, the FBI, lacking both adeptness and evidence, they were unable to close the case, though they do believe the likely proponent was the Italian anarchists. But to this day, the Wall Street bombing remains unsolved.
Oh, okay.
And the attack would remain the deadliest terrorist incident on U.S. soil until the Oklahoma City bombing 75 years later.
Which I covered.
Yes, you did.
I think it may have been 2 parts. It was very long.
Now a quick word from our sponsor. Do you live in the Bay Area? Are you in need of a CPR class for work or just to gain the knowledge? Well, look no further because CPR Education has you covered. They host public classes every Saturday in Pleasant Hill, ranging from CPR and first aid, BLS for healthcare providers, infant essentials for new and expecting parents, and EMSA-approved courses for licensed childcare providers. Whatever need you have, PR Education has a solution. Go to cpredu.com and use code CRACKED for 20% off any public class. That's CRACKED, and you will get 20% off any class of your choosing. CPR Education, keeping people together.
I knew nothing about that, and I thought it was very interesting. And the fact that it was not completely solved was interesting as well.
What do you think the reasoning was?
I can definitely see it being a classist issue or it targeting Wall Street specifically. The fact that there wasn't any specific target, like it wasn't going for the CEO of JP Morgan, or it wasn't targeting a specific person on the exchange or what have you. That makes me think that it wasn't motivated by one particular person's doing, but it was more a fuck everyone who was involved in making this machine run, whether it be the lowly broker or the secretary or what have you. So that's why there was so much collateral damage. They just wanted to make a statement and make the unhappiness known. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you have?
I like the last option you said. I don't remember your specific wording, but it was basically that like, Wall Street is like the powerhouse of our, monetary life or whatever. So they're just trying to kind of do that. I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily terroristic. I mean, technically, like outside of US.
Correct.
You could say that, but
it's definitely a domestic
someone was just
issue.
angry at it. Domestic. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So,
and like with the United Healthcare thing, a big reason that CEOs get paid the big bonuses is because their goal is to make profits for the shareholders. Their goal is not to service the end users of their products or whatever it is. So like it's very much motivated by money.
Of course.
That's all it is. And so that pisses people off, rightfully so.
As it should. Do they know why? Do they have a motive of the killing?
So I didn't have enough time to like get caught up on the news today because, I do work, but
whatever.
When I was scrolling while scarfing dinner, I'm a little torn. The first thing that I noticed or read was that they had found a backpack in New York that had been left and it was filled with Monopoly money. So it was like intentionally left for them to find.
Yeah.
Which was weird. So I'm like, oh my God, they're never going to find this guy. And that's great. And people were talking about jury nullification. Like, you see him. No, you didn't. Like he's doing the consumer a service. Like they're calling him like Robin Hood and shit.
Oh my gosh.
So the guy that they have in custody apparently was at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, and some old guy was like, hey, you kind of look like that guy on the news, and told the McDonald's worker, and they called the cops.
Oh.
It's some 26-year-old kid who apparently had multiple fake IDs on him, had a ghost gun.
Okay.
And whether it was the same kind that was used at the scene or not, unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the other thing? Oh, and apparently he had some like written documentation suggesting that, he was upset about something. So like a manifesto.
Okay, got it.
And so because of that, there is some speculation that like, okay, he's 26. He's no longer covered under his parents' insurance.
Oh shit, that's right. When you're 26, you get kicked off.
And so like he had to have, something done because he had like hurt himself in a surfing accident, like hurt his back, and was being denied whether it was care, a surgery, medicine, or whatever. And so they're like, maybe that was, his reason. Like that seems a bit extreme.
Especially for a 26-year-old. Because when I was 26, and that was not that long ago, if I got severely injured,
Wouldn't even go to the doctor.
I'd be annoyed and stuff, but I wouldn't take it as personally against like the CEO. That's more like if someone I loved died,
right?
That's what would make me snap. Now I don't really give a shit about me.
Yeah. And so a lot of people, I say a lot of people, like I'm just quoting the internet,
Sure.
In the comment section that I read, multiple people were like, the initial conversation when it first happened was like, oh, this was like a professional hit. He had a silencer. He did it in broad daylight, took off, blah, blah, blah. And now they're saying it's some Mickey Mouse 26-year-old. Like if it was really a hit, then that guy was probably out of the fucking country. He wouldn't be carrying around a backpack with every piece of evidence to like.
Or a 26-year-old is the decoy for the professional hit. He's
which
like
is possible too. I'm like, I just don't think that the guy that they have is the guy, but I don't know.
I'm sure more conspiracies will pop up.
Yeah. And it's like, because the motivation, at least from the blurb, like doesn't add up. Like there needs to be some greater purpose. So if he was working on behalf of someone else, I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds.
Okay.
But yeah, more conspiracies. And also, just because we already talked about it and we have to circle back, I had seen a headline that said that Jay-Z had been named in a lawsuit alleging that he was one of the celebrities who had raped someone along with Diddy.
Nice. So not for the victim, but nice that he's like getting indicted or whatever it is.
Well, they're bringing attention to it. So he like snapped back and it was like, no, absolutely not. This is not true, blah, 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 blah. Which of course, what else are you going to say?
I saw a video. It wasn't very good at explaining anything, but it's like, if you know, you know. And it was a picture of Jay-Z walking. I think he's at like a party and he has a glass of wine in his hand. But the way the wine is like sloshed up half the glass, it's like, that's not fucking wine in there. Like the person who duetted the video, they like were moving their wine glass to like try to make it look like that. And it's like it looks like a viscous red liquid.
Like cough syrup or something.
Like cough syrup, maybe with some scissor, with some codeine. So it was like very suspicious, like, oh, what you drinking there? So yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I'm like, I would not at all be surprised, but we'll see what unfolds. What is your topic? I have teriyaki sauce on me. Sorry. I'm falling apart.
Before I tell you my topic, you and I mentioned last episode that we have started a book club and we're doing a book club.
Yes.
So we had our first meeting. We just started our December book. So if anyone wants to unofficially follow this book club,
that's a good idea.
What's the book? Since you got to pick it, because AI chose you to pick it, what is the book we're reading?
I think it's called People We Meet on Vacation.
Yes, that's true. It's by Emily Frank or something. It's like a stupid name.
Something like that. And I sound like I don't know what it is. It's because I literally found it in a box of books on the side of the street, but it looked like an interesting read.
It's a romance novel, or like book, not a novel.
It
not
seems
not a novella.
To be that.
Well, yeah, because I went to Barnes and Noble and I went, hey, I got to find this book. And where would I find it? She goes, oh, it's in the romance section. I'm like, oh, that's new.
By Emily Henry, People We Meet on Vacation.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you guys want to do book club with us unofficially, read that book and just be done by the end of December.
The book that we read last month, everyone had the same reaction and we all complained together. It was lovely.
It was The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden.
So yeah, send us your comments. You can come complain along with us for this next month.
Yeah, really no one had anything particularly good to say. But yeah, whatever.
Sometimes a book is a piece of shit and you just gotta It's okay. I love books more than so many things in life, but I am willing to admit that they're not all great.
There you go.
But if
Okay,
you
so
have So yeah, what's your topic?
my topic for next week is going to be the Fruit of the Loom conspiracy.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Which I went down my own rabbit hole, so I'm very excited. One, that you did not choose that as your topic, and two, just to go over it.
To be fair, even if I had chosen it, I would have said no because you were clearly gunning for it, and I had done no research at that time.
I know. Well, because I gave it to you in my list, and then I had like seen another video that put it in my brain. I'm like, oh gosh, I really hope she doesn't pick that because now I'm like hyper fixating on it.
Oh, and I'm usually cautious about taking any suggestions from you off of your list because
I'll generally try to give you the ones that aren't on the top of my list, but they're there. But yeah, so that's what we're going to cover next week, and I'm very excited.
Cool. Well, in the meantime, you can reach out to us on our various forms of social media to provide me with more options and also books for our book club. That's another thing we welcome. We have all of the majors. We have Insta, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Patreon, TikTok until it's banned next month, YouTube. We have a website, crackssistersconspiracies.com. And you can send us a good old-fashioned email as well, crackssistersconspiracies@gmail.com. With our Patreon, Jackie's actually mailing out the stickers now. So if you become a Patreon member, you can get some goodies. So
you have until December 20th in order to get your merch stickers sent to you for free.
And if you miss out on that, too fucking bad. We'll
try again next year.
Yeah, right? Maybe something better will come along then.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Yeah.
But with that, I'm going to say stay cracked, y'all.
And have a great day.